Lorries could be banned from central London at peak hours under plans to make the city safer for cycling. 7 of the 8 cyclist deaths on our roads this year have involved HGVs. From today, all trucks in the capital must have designated mirrors and side guards to stop cyclists being dragged underneath. Those who fail could face a £1,000 fine or lose their licence. But the Mayor's cycling commissioner wants to take things further.
The other thing we're going to do is use the planning powers that the Mayor has to strictly prescribe the routes that construction HGVs can take. So we might, for instance, say you've got to take a route that involves a minimum number of left turns, because left turns are how most cycling accidents happen. You've got to avoid this particular road that's heavily used by cyclists, and that's something we're also working towards before the end of the mayoralty.
I'm joined now by Cynthia Barlow, whose daughter Alex was killed by a lorry 15 years ago and has campaigned for cycle safety ever since, and by Natalie Chapman from the Freight Transport Association. Thank you both for coming in. Cynthia, if I can start with you. Presumably this is a good day for campaigners, but as Andrew Gilligan was saying there, presumably you would like to see things go even further.
Yes, but it certainly is a good day. I think it's very important when you're trying to change things that you make a start, because once you start, then things can evolve. When I first became involved with the Construction Logistics and Cyclist Safety Project with TfL a couple of years ago, it was just construction vehicles in London, because it is disproportionately construction industry vehicles that are involved in the most serious collisions. So we started off with construction vehicles in London, but in fact most of the companies who've signed up are national, so they're spreading it out nationally. They're talking to other cities. There are all sorts of things, spreading it to other types of vehicles within their ownership. So it's important to make the start, and I think we have done that today.
This is a start. This will cost your industry in making sure that they've got all the special equipment to be out on the roads. What about the next step if Andrew Gilligan gets his way and talk of no left turns for lorries and a lorry ban in peak hours? How would that impact on the industry?
Well, what we need to make sure is that any measures taken to improve safety actually do work, and our concern about blanket restrictions like the one that was launched today, and about anything that's kind of a blanket restriction, that's where we have particular concerns. And of course, there's been lots of talk about HGV bans. Now, they might be very popular and a very easy, simple sell, but the reality actually would be very difficult. It would have a huge impact on all of us, because at the end of the day, we all rely on what's in the back of a truck.
In what way? How would it impact us?
Well, we need to think about, well, where do these vehicles go? So when they're not, if we have a morning restriction, for example, what do we do in the times when the vehicles can't be operating? Where do they sit? Where do they wait? We have lots of overnight restrictions on deliveries. Still far too many of those which need to be overturned. And of course, the other issue is around how do we ensure that we don't then have everything just transferred automatically to vans, because it takes about 13 vans to carry the same amount of goods as a lorry.
Clearly practical issues there with anything wider than we're talking about now. Do you think it's achievable? You've been campaigning for 15 years in your daughter's name.
Yes, I'm sure it is achievable. Recently, I was at the place where my daughter was killed, the junction with Copthall Avenue and London Wall, and I noticed 2 banksmen at the entrance to Copthall Avenue. These are the men who control lorry access to construction sites. I'd never seen them there before, so I asked them what their job was, why they were there, and they said that deliveries now are forbidden. Left turns are forbidden now at that junction. The lorries are expected to go to the end of the road, round the roundabout, and come back and do a right turn.
Already happening.
So it's already happening, and it's just basic common sense. We don't need, a massive effort campaign. We can do these things.
Cynthia Barlow and Natalie Chapman, thank you very much. Thank you.